भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ।
Dear friends, we are here to study the Mundaka Upanishad, and we had completed the first Mundaka, and we have studied it with great detail. The first Mundaka, to be precise, is 1/3 of the whole Upanishad. Before we get into the detail of the second Mundaka, first shloka, let me have the permission of yours to have a bird's eye view of certain very important points relevant to the questioning mind of a modern man. We always know when we see a book, we want to find out who is the author. And the standing of the author has an impact on us, which makes us decide whether we'll study the book or not. That is how we do things in a present-day society. With this attitude, I and you or all of us can ask, now you are speaking about something which in your own words is absolute, is immutable, is infinite, is eternal. It is beyond the perception of a human being. That is what you say. Who is then the author? If you say it's a human being, an author, so we will just say it is a trash full of woolly-headed ideas. And this Upanishad will have no hold on my thinking, or it will not attract my attention. Therefore, at the very beginning of the Upanishad, who is the author is being answered. Who is the author? Author is the Lord God of this universe, the creator, the preserver, and who manages the whole cosmos. That infinite being known as God, the divine in English, Allah, Khuda in Urdu or Farsi, Ishvara in Sanskrit, and in so many others named, Shalom among the Jews. Now, he is the author. Are you mad? How could he be author? You don't see him, you just conceive of him. How could he be the author? The secret is 10 to 15,000 years ago, when the Aryan civilizations were settled down in the Indus Valley, the main place of the Aryans, they had nothing more to do because the weather and the climate was so kind, one crop a year, taking hardly 10 to 12 weeks, was good enough to sustain themselves for the whole year. They had 40 weeks to be precise. to themselves. And they made the maximum use of their perceptive organs, observance of nature. And the human system is such, perceptual observation leads to conceptual knowledge, and that conceptual knowledge tells them there is a creation. According to my understanding, every creation has a creator. Who is that creator? Let us find him out. And how do they find out? By a journey deep within himself, through the yogic process, through meditative process, to intense, single-minded thinking. And they saw in this universe there are so many avenues through which an unlimited amount of energy is flowing. And through that, they found out a relationship with the maker of the universe. And the very third shloka, the very first shloka of this Upanishad says, Brahma Devanam Pratama Samyak Bhuva. Samyak Bahuva, Samyak Rupena Bahuva. It was not a biological action. He made himself into a man. And through that man, he percolated all his wisdom to his progenies. That is how today, after 10 to 15,000 years later, we are reading it in a book form. So the first and foremost question is the authenticity of the author. Who is the author of the Upanishads? Author is the Lord God of the universe. The Parama Ishvara, according to Sanskrit, Lord God of the universe, according to English concept, Christian concept. He is the person who communicated and commuted with his own children. In another Upanishad, we have another statement. That is, that one, eternal. He felt lonely, alone. Eko aham, I am alone. Bahushyam, I would like to be many and play with myself. With this desire in their mind, they willed this cosmos with all of us. Eko aham, bahushyam, prajaya, he created. And after creating it, what did he do? Tat eva anupravisat. He permeated and saturated his whole being into this creation. That means there's not a speck of space or a dot of time where he is not. This is the concept of where did this wisdom, which is not perceptible by human faculties, but it has come down to us, to what detail? First, he says so, you listen perceptually. On thinking on what you are listening, you have certain conceptual conclusions. That becomes a rock-solid, crystal-clear intellectual conviction, yes, God is. And third stage is how to find him out. That is the operative clause. And finally, the third phase of the Upanishad will tell you what happens to those people who, having experienced oneness with the divine, what is their behavior pattern? How do they live in this world? They are ordinary human beings, but there has been a sea change in their personality. This egocentric, individualistic personality has transformed into that cosmic presence. All these descriptions logically, cogently, systematically is placed one after the other in this Upanishad. Now, it starts in a very, very dramatic storytelling manner. What is the storytelling manner? How does it start? Not with high-flown philosophy and sermons. A man extremely successful in this world. He has achieved whatever he wants to achieve. Mahashala. His name was Shaunaka. His father's name was Shunaka. Shunakasya putram Shaunakam. Good enough. Having achieved everything, he was not satiated. Hunger to know, thirst to extend his parameters was limitless. So he was looking around. Do I have any teacher who will teach me about something, experiencing which, hearing which, conceiving which, intuitively experiencing which, my thirst of knowledge will be satiated forever. That is how the Upanishad starts. Shaunako havai mahashala vidhivat angirasham upasannam papracha. He asked. What did he ask? Sir, is there anything knowing which all my thirst for knowing will be totally satiated? There is nothing else for me to be known. Is there anything in this world? In those days, these were the talk of the town, not like today. That society, 10,000 years ago, was not polluted by all that distraction that we have. They started as observers of nature, perceptual observation, from which they graduated into conceptual knowledge, and that conceptual knowledge, when it became rock solid, unbreakable, crystal clear, then they found out a way of deep concentrative involvement. And with that deep consultative involvement, they found out a highway, as it were, between God's wisdom and their understanding. And through that conduit, God's wisdom flowed into. Shaunaka went to ask Rishi Angirasha, the author of this Upanishad, is there anything, sir? The Rishi very calmly said, yes, my dear child, there are two different types of knowledge available to humans. Dve vidve veditabhi. Two different types of knowledge are available to humans. What are the two, sir? One is appertinent to this cosmos, to break the mysteries of nature, to demystify the mysteries of nature, which the human society even today is under that endless endeavor, and they are broken and demystified. We do not know how many areas of manifestation of cosmic energy. But the Rishi says, look, my dear Shaunaka, I told you there are two types of knowledge. This is mundane knowledge, worldly knowledge, knowledge pertaining to the knowing of the secrets of this universe. That is indispensable for progress of human civilization. By way of example, we have found out electricity and making use of it. We have found out solar energy, making use of it. We have found out so many things to make human life comfortable, convenient, livable. But it is indispensable, but not sublime. That is, this knowledge, apara vidya, not so sublime a knowledge, that knowledge is apara, not so sublime. You cannot catch your shadow. You run, it runs. You can't catch it. It is always with you. You can't catch it. Whereas paravidya is that yaya tadaksharam adigamyate. Paravidya is that knowledge. When you master that art of knowing through your back-breaking, painstaking, determined endeavor, back-breaking, painstaking, determined endeavor, then if you follow the directions, you will be exposed to that avenue which will lead you to identify yourself with your true original nature, the Absolute, by means of which you will be one with the Absolute, eternal, infinite, immutable existence of the universe. Yaya tadaksharam adhigamyate. That is how, dear, the chapter starts. We have finished the first chapter, Prathama Mundaka, whereby you remember the last shloka of the last two shlokas, when Angirasha, being satisfied with his teacher's teaching, he analyzed the whole world and he saw it is always changing in time. Whatever is created in time disintegrates in time. Time may be 2 seconds, time may be millenniums, like granite stone. But whatever is created will disintegrate in point of time. There is nothing that I know which is eternal. I would like to know that eternal. So he goes to Guru Angirasha and tells him, Sir, I have understood the secret of this ball game, that whatever I do according to the instructions of the Vedas, all the yagas, the yajnas, and all the ritualistic worships, they will produce an infinite good deed for me, punya, shubha karma, good deeds. I will enjoy the results of those good deeds after falling off this body in the heavens. But just like a bank balance, if you don't replenish it, if you keep on withdrawing on it, A time will come when it will be exhausted. So the credit side becomes a zero. I would like to go beyond that. Could you kindly help me? This is what is the qualification of a seeker of truth. I have seen through this ball game. This does not satisfy me. I would like to get something. Jam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tatah. Sri Krishna says in the Gita to Arjuna, yes, Arjuna, if you so will, I will teach you a methodology by means of which you will achieve such a joy and pleasure that nothing in this world which the world produces and promises you will be able to reach you. What to reach you will not be able to touch you. You are far ahead of that. I promise you that. In the Gita, here the teacher promises you, Yena Akshara Veda Satyam Tam Tattvato Prabhacha Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya, the knowledge to be acquired from a worthy person capable of teaching, that knowledge is known as knowledge of Brahman, the ever immutable, infinite absolute existence of this universe. The Akshara, Brahma, the immutable absolute. Where will you find it? Which corner of the universe it is? It is everywhere. And if you want to realize it, it is within yourself. What you know as I am, you know it with several coverings on it. You slowly and slowly uncover yourself, and ultimately you will flourish off in your pristine magnificence, glory, majestic glory. We have read up to that much. Now we start on the second Mundaka today. This is a quick bird's eye view of what we have studied up till now. Now this Mundaka, Pratham Khanda, the first subsection of the Mundaka, will now tell you what is Para Vidya Vishaya. Or Para Vidya, not so sublime knowledge, has been mentioned, and the inadequacy and insufficiency of worldly pleasures and joys and treasures have been mentioned, and the student follows it. And he says, I am not interested in it. I have had enough of it. Enough is enough. I don't want it anymore. I now want that real, true understanding. The object of this knowledge, please explain to me without any ambiguity. And the teacher starts. I made an introduction of it in the last discourse, but now let us start it in due earnest, right earnest. Tadetat satyam. What I am going to tell you now, the teacher of the Upanishad tells you, is not a comparative apparent reality. It is the absolute reality. Why this distinction, dear? Why? He has used the word tadetab satyam in the second subsection of the first Mundaka. So, let us understand. as I am constituted today, I see you, I hear you, I smell something, I taste something, I touch something. It gives me a sense of reality. That reality is apparent reality. It appears to be real, but it is changeful. As for instance, I'll give you an example. A carpenter looks at this chair. Being a carpenter, absolutely saturated with the idea of carpentry and woodwork, he would look at the chair as a carpenter's perspective. I am a user. I will look at a chair with user's perspective. How comfortable it is, how easily I can sit on it, how easily I can get up from it. An artist will look at the proportion and the color scheme and all that. One chair appearing to three different perspectives in three different forms. Which is the real? There's only one thing real. What is that? The chair exists in time. It is. It is to the carpenter, it is to the user, it is to the artist. Isness is the highest common factor of this world. That isness is the absolute immutable. And that is what your true original nature is. So here when the Upanishadkara, the author of the Upanishad says, Tadetat Satyam. Now what I am going to tell you is, truth and reality now has been blended into one in absolute measure, not in perspectives, worldly perspectives. It is an absolute perspective. And he starts with an example. Why? To start philosophizing, talking abstract, it may not appeal to me. So he finds out a worldly description and he says, what does he say? Yatha, as for example, Shudiptat Pavakat Vishpulinga Sahasrasha Pravabante Sarupa. Let us stop here. Paraphrase it. Yatha, as for example, as for instance, he's quoting an example where all of us will nod our head in assent. What is that example? A blazing fire. Shudiptat Pavakat. Pavaka is a fire. Shudipta means absolutely blazing. From that blazing fire, when the wind blows, thousands of sparks flow out of it. That's it. Now, I have given it a name. This is blazing fire. That is a spark of a fire. Both of them are fires. One is infinitely large. It can burn away habitation in a few minutes. And the other, the spark, is a fire, but it can only burn a hole in my shirt sleeve. That's all. Both of them are fires. Qualitatively, they are the same. Quantitatively, one is infinitely large and the other is infinitely small. But they are fire. And the quality, they are the same fire, but The capacity is high, capacity is low. He says that. Let us now try to see Tatha aksharat vividha somya bhava prajayate tatreva cha apijanti. This is an example. A blazing fire converts itself into small specks of fire known as sparks. Both of them are fire. Similarly, my dear child, listen to me. From that akshara, from that absolute, immutable, infinite, eternal, absolute object, from that the whole cosmos has come up. And in each, he is. Can you think of something before not thinking about its existence? Can you? I am aware I am. I am aware I have my 5 sense organs, and with those 5 sense organs, I see the whole world. I perceive the whole world, 5 different avenues. The world is because I am, and I have the capacity to perceive. If I am not there, who knows whether the world is or not? This is a commonsensical approach. A blazing fire and the spark. The similarity is, look at this world. Diversity is the essence of the world. And what brings this diversity? On what concept that this you, me, he, she, they, all they exist? How is it? We give it a name. It has a form. It has a name. It has a form. It has a quality. Guna. It's red. It's white. It's black. It's green. It's soft. It's hard. It's hot. It's cold. These are all qualities of which we can perceive. So, it has a name, it has a form, it has qualities, and it has a utilitarian value for us, the human society. Think of these 4 concepts: name, form, utilitarian value, name, form, quality, and utilitarian value. This is what it is. That is the cause of diversion, diversity. You have a name, you have a form, you have certain qualities, and you have a utilitarian value in the society. So have I, so has she, so has he, so has he. All of us. This is living organism. Look at nature. Various things of botanical life, biological life, living organisms, plant life. See them. Each one has a name. But one thing which avoids us, because we pay no attention to it. What is that? I first accept it exists. That is its name. That is its form. That is its quality. that is its utilitarian value. First, I am aware of its existence. That existence is that absolute everywhere. There's not a speck of space, not an iota of time where that absolute is not. So this shloka now, this verse now, in one short example, places before you the sum and substance of the whole teaching. What is that? You are an educated person, aren't you? You have excelled in apara vidya vishaya. You have excelled in your professional achievement, mastering various branches of knowing and knowledge. And you are enormously benefited by it. But you have never thought there's something more to know. What is hidden behind this diversity? We say in our language, that which is apparently real, but the reality is hidden behind the appearance. Paravidya Vishaya is educate yourself now to see, feel the presence of that ultimate absolute every moment of your life, through all objects, through all activity, every moment of your life. He is. I am. He is. And where to find him out? Not in the high skies, not in cloud 9 or beyond the clouds. He is here. Whom I call I am is nothing else but he is. I, like a stupid ass, don't pay attention to that. I pay attention to everything else but the real. There we are inadequate. There we are insufficiently educated. This is what the shloka says. Tadetat satyam. Now listen to me. This is the reality of life. What is that? Jatha sudiptat pavakat vishpalinga sahasrasa pravabante sarupa. Thousands and thousands of sparks come out of a blazing fire. The spark and the blazing fire are the same. Quantitatively, one is large, one is small, but the fire is the same. Similarly, infinite diversity of the world is diverse. Quantitatively, they are diverse, various. Essentially, they are the one. It comes out of that, it goes back to that. As I told you before, the Chandogya Upanishad in one of the sections has taken up this subject from a different perspective. What do they say? Say, look at here, I'll give you a worldly example. The student is unable to understand this. What does my teacher mean? That there is that absolute everywhere? There's a oneness to be seen everywhere? Doesn't. The teacher takes him to be a potter's shop. A potter. What's a potter? Who creates earthenwares of different sizes, different shapes, for different purposes, of different utilitarian value. Each pot has a particular name, particular size and a shape, particular quality, particular utilitarian value. The teacher takes the students to a potter's shop. And he says, my dear, what you see? Oh, sir, I see hundreds of different types of things. What are they? Oh, there's a pot, there's a cup, there's a jar, there's a plate, there is this, there. He keeps on recounting. Recounting by name, form, quality and utilitarian value. Go and get a stick for me. What's that a stick for? He goes and gets a stick. Now break them down. Break all that down. What remains? The name has disappeared. The form has disappeared because it is broken. The quality has disappeared. Its utilitarian value has disappeared. What remains, my dear child? The teacher asked. He says, Sir, nothing but pods of clay. Nothing but pods of clay. Out of clay, human ingenuity has created that. And when you destroy these four concepts, clay goes back to clay. Tasmad jayate, from which it has come out, created, and when it is broken, it goes back to that. It's a pot of clay. Tasmad jayate, tasmin liyate, tad jalam shanta upasita. What does it mean? This whole cosmos has been created by the divine out of himself, his will. God said, let there be light, and there was light. That is how he created. He willed it, it happened. And after happening, he permeates it, saturates it. There is nothing where he is not. The isness. There is nothing where there is no isness there. It is. Then only say what it is, in general, in particular. Sarvagya, Sarvavit. Sarvagya is general, in particular. Tatha, Yatha means as for example. Tatha, now the exemplified is being said. From that absolute, Vividha Somya Bhava. Bhava means things, Padartha. All that has a name and a form and etc., etc. They have come out of it. And when they are destroyed, they go back to it. When you say there is nothingness, there is something which you cannot describe as nothing. You cannot describe otherwise, so you say it is nothing. When we say it goes back to nothingness, it means it goes back to its original form, which is experienceable but not describable. Experienceable but not describable. Remember this. This is how the second Mundaka and the first chapter of second Mundaka starts. This is the real situation. What is the reality of this shloka? What is the teacher teaching you? He starts with an example to which you all agree. That is the definition of an example, where the teacher and the taught, both of them have a nod of assent. I agree, you say I agree. Both of us agree. That is a correct example. But that example is only to exemplify something. Don't carry it too far. That's not the game. The example is, from the fire, sparks have come out. From that infinite eternal, immutable absolute, he created this. Having created this, he saturated this with his being. Satya Tachva Bhavat Tadeva Anupravishat. These are the words of the Upanishads. He saturated the whole cosmos after creation by his own being, by his own absolute character. That's it. By his own presence, he saturates it. And therefore, the conclusion is, the exemplification is, dear students, you are concerned with the diversity. And the diversity has taken you away. Your introspection doesn't go beyond that. Your introspection has been utilized for apara vidya vishaya. That is, objects about the whole cosmos. That's what human progress and civilization is all about. But the other one is, now you start re-educating yourself to concentrate on the awareness of presence of that absolute every moment of your life, which can be experienced as it is. Isness, existence. That is why after realization, the rishis and the seers and the realized soul say, we can define my soul as Sat Swarup, Chit Swarup, Ananda Swarup, Satchidananda Atma. That is my true original nature, and that is the nature of the cosmos. I am Atma Brahma. That is this singular thing, myself, this personalized experience, I am. That I am is nothing else but your experience of that eternal existence, isness. Satta, awareness of that existence, they are inseparables. Awareness of existence, awareness of amness, awareness of isness. Tatha aksharat, from that absolute, vividha, endless diversity. Padartha, bhava means padartha. The things that are perceivable, those are conceivable, those are imaginable. They have all come out from that, and ultimately, when you educate yourself to focus your attention to the reality behind the appearance, you would know thou art that. You are that. This is how the second chapter starts. Let us now read the second shloka, but I will not discuss it. You can always read it for yourself and prepare yourself from the next discourse. That absolute is indescribable. But as I say, it is experienceable but not describable. Now don't talk in riddles, Swami. Experienceable, not describable. You come down to our level and you talk to us the way we understand. I'll explain to you. There are signs and symptoms by means of which you can explain things. Signs and symptoms by means of which you can explain things. So, the teacher has found out a classical example, which is not here. It is one of the classical examples when the philosophy started. Darshana started at latter age. We'll come to that later on. I love to walk in nature. I love to walk in the bushes. I'm a bushwalker. One day I went out, I saw the map, and I thought I'll go to that village and then I'll come back. I didn't carry the map. I kept it in my mind. And I was following my route. All of a sudden, I came at a point when the road has bifurcated. and my memory fails me, which road will lead me to my destination? I have not brought that, but I had it in my mind. While walking, coming to that point, I am now in a puzzle. I'm a very cautious person, so I don't venture. I sit at that junction, I'm sorry, and I keep on praying. If somebody would come up, I'll ask him, what is my landmark? The road that I will lead will go down the valley and will have a creek there. I'll have to cross the creek, and as soon as I climb up, my destination, the village, will be available. I know that very well. But I am not sure which road will lead to my village, my destination. So what do? I'm very cautious. I start sitting there and waiting and praying somebody should come up. A while later, I find a traveler climbing up this road and coming towards me at the junction. I run to him. I ask him, sir, you are coming up this road, is it? Did you find out a creek right below? He says, yes, there's a creek there. I have to cross it. And is there a village right above? Yes, I'm coming from that village. I know it. You go down this road, you'll find out a creek. You jump the creek or you cross the creek and you climb up, you will reach your destination. Sir, are you sure? Yes, I am. I will ascertain that I am sure and you will have confidence. What does he do? He looks around. He finds a very tall tree there. The bottom is right in the valley. You don't see the tree. You see the tip of the tree, the tall tree. Do you see the tall tree, my dear? I say, yes, sir, I see that. Now, you imagine, it's a straight trunk of a tree. You come down straight and you meet the soil. Yes, sir, I can imagine that. The creek follows by the trunk. Tatastha Lakshana. It's a sign and a symptom to give you an idea. The creek is flowing by the trunk of that long tree. This creek is, you are confident. First confidence came from his assertion. He says, I'm coming from that village. You are absolutely right. Go down this road. You will get a creek. You cross the creek, climb up, and you will reach the road. But even then I am doubtful. Sir, could you give me a little sign of confidence that the creek, how to find out my creek? Keep an eye on the tree, top of the tree. Don't forget that. The trunk is beside the creek. You'll see the trunk and the creek side by side. This is how the absolute, with signs and symptoms, will be made understandable to you with a stretch of your imagination. And that imagination, you due course of time, with proper discipline of your faculties, will convert that imagination into a realization. The example carried further, I walked down that bushwalk and I've kept my eyes on that tall tree and I find the trunk of the tree and then I find the creek flowing by. What he said, I couldn't see the creek, I couldn't see the soil from where the trunk has come up, but I was given such an idea, I followed it and I realized my imagination is realization today. What is imagination today? becomes a realization tomorrow. This is the procedure that the Upanishad will follow. Thank you, my dear friends. Thank you ever so much.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.